Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Wild Moments. You may have noticed by the slow way I introduced the show there that I'd actually forgotten what it was called, but now I have remembered. And we are powered by explore.org, which I also nearly forgot, but now I have remembered. My name is James Hendry. I didn't forget that at all. And joining us all the way from Venezuela, no less, is Alexandra Olivieri. It's lovely to have her with us here. Hello.
Hello, James. I think you're probably the only person that addresses me by my full name.
This is a very nice name. I'm sure your mother does when she's very cross with you.
She does. That's a scary name. Maybe you should have added Alexandra to your daughter's name. I mean, she had so many names already. One more wouldn't have made a difference.
Yes. No, she needed 4. One more, people would have thought we thought she was royalty. Right. You can talk to us during the course of this show. We'd love to hear from you. It's always nice when you do talk to us because, well, you know, the sightings that we've chosen aren't particularly entertaining. For example, the sighting of a stone not moving. That wouldn't be entertaining. But it could be made entertaining by your questions and your comments. So please do talk to us during the course of the show. We have a couple of hellos. Hello, Amber in Colorado. Happy Thursday to everybody. Yes, happy Thursday to you, Amber. Tomorrow we have a public holiday in South Africa, so everyone's on holiday here, and so they'll probably be quite drunk tonight. Venezuela, they're drunk every night, aren't they?
Yep. We drink rum every night. We're like pirates.
Yes, you are pirates. Aussie Jan 2, good afternoon to you. Coffee going down well. I've just finished mine. And Saskia Brenda, good morning. Happy Monkey Day. Yes, I believe it has been Monkey Day, hasn't it? I don't know if it still is. But we've certainly got very monkey-ish clips for you today. You say, Saskia Brenda, yes, good morning. Greetings to all from an icy -9 part of the UK. Suki V. How beastly. Teresa B, hi James and Ali Mary, almost Christmas. Hello Teresa B. Yes, it's probably a little bit early to be wishing us happy Christmas, but thank you very much, and to you. All I can think about is opening the huge mound of gifts my wife and daughter are going to give me. Hello Peggy Westhofer. Good morning. And Zygote. Hello. Okay. Before we get too stuck on hellos and things like that, so can't leave out Bob from Kalamazoo, can I? Hello, Bob from Kalamazoo. Right, quickly, before somebody else says hello, we do like it when you say hello, but before, it's hippie Suzanne. Hello, hippie Suzanne. Quickly,
I'm coming, everyone. Come on, hellos, come on.
Yeah, quickly. Play a clip. Aiden, play a clip. Max, play a clip. Right, well, there should be... Oh, there we go. Please sound the Baboon. Not much fun. There's some consternation here in the Baboon group. They are not happy. But why are they not happy? Bahu, say. Bahu. Yes, right, Bahu. Sure. I feel quite breathless having looked at that. Woof. Chapter. I wish he understood that he shouldn't shout quite so loudly next to the microphone.
I had to turn down the volume of the computer.
Yes, my speakers are reverberating. Goodness gracious me. And I keep thinking it's going to end and then it doesn't, but let's end. Oh, here we go. Okay, can we watch just the very beginning again, please? Because I think it's worth noting that a tiny baboon came plummeting from roughly 5 meters and hit the ground, and then ran away. So let's just have a quick look at the beginning again. Here we go. Yay! And off we go. Okay, that's fine. We can get back to the view of Alexandra and I. That baboon was small, couple of maybe a month or two. Yes, and it fell 5 meters, and I can't help but compare, and ran away. I can't help but compare the agility and capability of that 2-month-old baboon when compared with my 2-month-old daughter, who I don't think would survive a drop from 5 meters. I don't think she'd be able to climb a tree to 5 meters. But I'm certainly going to go to her and admonish her for being a laggard as soon as we've finished this show. In all seriousness, everyone, I think, and I stand to correction here, what's going on there is a fight probably between two males. And the two males are fighting for dominance, possibly because the scent of an estrus female is in the air. And then what's happened is that they've beaten the stuffing out of each other, and there's a whole cascade of deferred aggression. So the loser beats up a less dominant baboon, who then beats up an even less dominant one, who then beats up a lady, and then beats up a child, and it all just turns into a cycle of ever cascading dominant violence. And I think that's what was going on there. Would you agree, Alexandra?
Yeah, I do. I mean, generally, when everybody hears a baboon, you all automatically assume that there's a leopard or a predator around. But the fact that they're all climbing down from the trees and not going up to the trees, that gives you an indication that whatever it is that's happening, it's not a problem down at the bottom. It's a problem that's happening up at the top of the trees.
Yeah. So I think they were definitely having a bit of a fight. They're difficult to say because we couldn't actually see. But we do know that that's what happens in these baboon shows. While I wait for a few questions, another few hellos. I'm going to go through these quickly. I hope you don't mind. Hello, Luana Fusner. Good morning. Kimatsuro Sylvester. Hello, Kimatsuro Sylvester. Happy Thursday. Yes, quite, because tomorrow is public holiday. Bluebird, Hardy from Texas. Glenda Newman Craft. Hello from LaGrange, Indiana. Brittany Parker, baboon barks are scary sounding. Brittany Parker, they are absolutely terrifying, especially at that sort of proximity to the microphone. Zygote, the loudest you've ever heard. Well, Zygote, you should come out here and have them shouting just in a tree above you. It's utterly terrifying. Brittany Parker, imagine hearing that in the middle of the night while camping in the bush. Yes, exactly. That is precisely what you do here while camping in the middle of the bush, and it is... it is quite terrifying. I mean, Ali's been camping quite a lot in her time, and I imagine that when she's been lying in her tent of a night, what's the first thought that comes to your head when the baboon troop goes ballistic in the trees above your head?
100% there's a predator around, and it knows I'm in a tent, and it's going to come and eat me. That's the first irrational thought that pops through your brain as you hear it. And then you breathe, you calm yourself down, you remind yourself of where you are. And you just remove your toes and head from the edges of the tent just in case.
I like that one because not many people would admit to that, but I've done it myself. You're lying in a tent in the bush and you know there's a predator outside, or you suspect there's a predator outside, and for some irrational reason you think that moving your toes or your head 2 inches from the incredibly thin canvas wall that separates you from their teeth and claws is going to make some sort of difference.
It's a game changer.
Because we both do alive.
100%.
It's an absolute game changer. Yeah. Zygote, you say they're settling a dispute, like a pecking order, but more aggressive. That's exactly what they're doing. So there's a pecking order. It's a tournament species, and they are settling a dispute. And the higher up the dispute is in the troop. So if there are two males who are pretty close in dominance, and I mean, they don't even need to be the most dominant. If they're fighting for a position on the hierarchy, and if they are of sort of relatively equal dominance, or maybe you've got 3 or 4 who are pretty equal dominance, you're going to have big violence. Whereas if you've got a very distinct hierarchy with one obviously more dominant baboon, things tend to be a little bit quieter, and then they defer their aggression to all the others. It happens in business too, this deferred aggression. Why I was in a meeting not too long ago where somebody was shouting at somebody else, and it was very clear that that person was only shouting at their underling because well, they had been shouted at. So we're just like baboons, really.
Fair enough.
I'm not saying you are a baboon, everyone, but we are very similar in some ways. Okay, let us move on to the next clip. We are already 10 minutes into the show. This is just so much more peaceful. I was quite tense after the last one.
A nice balance of the two. You get the very aggressive behavior and then the very sweet and tender side of them as well.
Now, because I'm fairly sure my wife is not watching this, I must say that when I wake up at 10 o'clock in the evening, this is not a sight that is uncommon to me. My poor wife trying desperately to sleep in an incredibly uncomfortable position. My daughter fast asleep, exactly the position that this young baboon is. So as I say, we are very much like baboons. I do hope my wife is not watching this.
Let's hope for your sake that she isn't.
It is astounding how they manage to sleep like that, isn't it? On a thin branch.
And in a sitting up position, I mean, if you think about it, and I really say this because I've just been recently on a plane for way too many hours, sleeping sitting down is not fun, and it's actually horrible for us. And then they just make it work somehow. Look at that neck. I mean, if I could put my neck like that while sitting down, I'd be a much happier traveling human.
Yes. Yeah, imagine, I was just thinking the same thing. Imagine how easy it would be for baboons to travel in coach or economy class.
It would be the best. I mean, this is one of the few times where I wish I were.
Yes, yes, yes. I also wish I was a baboon sometimes. Not often, but sometimes I do. Certainly in economy class in a long haul flight, I would I would like to be a baboon. So that was just a mother baboon, and I mean I say this in all seriousness. We as human beings, especially human beings from the Western world, and I've made a study of this obviously because it's relevant in my life right now. We have this kind of idea that children need to sleep in their own beds and they shouldn't sleep on the boob, and it's only in the West that this happens. Everybody else does it pretty much like the baboons there, and it's just so much more comfortable. That baboon is not going to wake up crying. It's not going to have separation anxiety, and mostly its mother is sleeping. And that is the most important part of raising a young primate, let me assure you.
You sound a little bit scarred there, James.
I'm much less scarred than my poor wife is, but yes,
Shame.
I think that maximizing sleep when you're raising a baby primate or infant primate is a hugely important thing. Let's see if we have any questions. Yes.
Oh, sorry. No, I just wanted to say maybe we've got it's interesting the comparison between the baboons Western world and the rest of the world in terms of how they sleep with little ones. I mean, if you think of a baboon, not only, I mean, we've got a support system. So your wife would have you to help her when she's not sleeping, but the mother baboon, either she sleeps and she eats, or who's going to raise that youngster? Because nobody else is going to take that job.
No, that's true. Brittany Parker, you say, heck yes, what a visual. I see you doing that. Oh, I think you're talking about sleeping in a tent when the baboons go crazy and assuming that there is a predator outside. Yeah, no, one does move one's extremities in from the side of the canvas tent. Yes, not much comment on the baboon suckling situation there. We'll make one more comment on it, and that is to say that the support structure actually does exist when they're sort of on the ground. I mean, they will look after each other's babies, which is nice. They do even the males, even the young males, and the males that tend not to be dominant, and will help look after youngsters that aren't their own. And it's actually very interesting that I'm actually going to go off on a little small tangent here. If you read a book which I've mentioned many, many times called A Primate's Memoir by Robert Sapolsky, who's he's a bit of a polymath, really, but he's largely what is he? He's a professor of neurology at Stanford, and he's done all sorts of stuff on physiology and baboons and that sort of thing. And he said in that book he writes about how baboons have such different characters, and the more dominant ones who rise to the top of the hierarchy, very stressed all the time. They don't have a lot of allies. They are constantly on the lookout for something going to knock them off the perch. They don't groom a lot with the others. But you get these kind of mid-ranking males who seem to lack ambition, never fight, but they've got lots of friends. And they're friends with the females. They'll play with the youngsters. They're chilled, and their stress hormone levels are much lower than those at really at the bottom of the hierarchy and those right at the top. So I think that's quite interesting. Does it work the same for human beings? Probably not. I don't know.
I think to an extent. I mean, if you think about everybody, you were talking about the corporate world earlier. If you think about people that are at the top of the corporate world, I'm sure their stress levels are generally very high. And then,
They are, right.
But it's also on that note, I think I also read a study a while back. I mean, that through grooming and doing favors to others and having a lot of friends, that's also the strategy that some male baboons actually have to getting to the top. I think it's particularly known in chimps as well, and that's how they manage to maintain their, I'm going to call it reign, or their power for longer than others. So different strategies get different animals to different places, I suppose.
Yes, right.
Some people use brute power, and some others are a little bit more strategic about it.
Yes. The smaller of us can't use brute power because we just simply don't possess it. Robin, you say, how old would that baby be? Yeah. A month? Yeah. Month or two, I'd say. Yeah. Maybe slightly younger than the one that plummeted almost to its death in the first clip. But month or two, I'd say.
Little.
All right. Let's go to the next one. We're moving from baboons to monkeys, vervet monkeys. There they are. A vervet monkey and a whole lot of water thick knees, and the naughty baby vervet monkey is being beaten up.
Thick knees are quite dangerous. I wouldn't trust them. Oh, there's two.
No. Look at that. That's really nasty. Now, I've got to tell you, I don't have a lot of affection for these animals. I enjoy baboons immensely, but these guys I don't like. I do like them, of course I like them.
I prefer these guys to baboons, funny enough. I've had too many things in too many rooms destroyed while working in lodges by baboons. But I think vervets I tolerate better.
They're just so, this thing's just being wantonly nasty.
That's what the thickies, though.
They really are like a gang of bullies. They're bullying that little thing, or they're bullying the small birds, and then enlisting the help of their other bully friends when they get a bit scared. And I just think that's rather nasty.
I think so.
I haven't seen any of them manage to find any chicks or eggs yet. Have you?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. That of course, if they just had eggs, it would be a tad difficult to see it if they had little chicks. But it also doesn't seem like any of them have sort of put their mouths down and then just taken a bite out of anything.
Yeah, those thickneys have got unbelievably well hidden eggs and chicks. So, I'm not sure if there weren't any there. I think the reason that I find the monkeys less appealing is that they just seem to be more wantonly naughty. Baboons can be, unspeakably disgusting if they get into a room. And I mean, if you have, like Ali has mentioned, ever had the misfortune of having to work in a lodge where the baboons have got into a room, it is, I mean, it's quite the
Foul.
most horrendous scene of destruction, um, wanton destruction. And there is the worst thing about it, of course, is that they go to the loo everywhere, and so you will find baboon turds absolutely everywhere. And I mean, while we wait for a few questions, a baboon got into my room once at one of the lodges, and I got in there in a big rush, and the baboons had gone, and I cleaned up as best I could. They'd taken my bag down from wherever it was. I closed it up, put it on top of the cupboard, and carried on. 6 weeks later, I went on leave, and I opened up my bag, and
Oh no.
it was one of these waterproof bags, and there in the bag, well, having been stewing in the summer temperatures for 6 weeks, was a baboon turd, and
Oh
I
wow.
threw the bag away. I never used it again
There was
because
nothing else to do.
it was unusable. Yes, yeah. I just find them slightly less wantonly naughty, and I guess baboons for me are more human than monkeys are.
Potentially. I must say though, at least baboons don't seem to become that aggressive that quickly towards humans as
Yeah,
monkeys do,
that's
because
right. Yeah,
monkeys do know, and it's
yeah,
incredibly infuriating that they know that I am a female, that I'm a woman, and they
yeah.
have absolutely no respect. So you can be standing next to me, they'll come for me just for the sake of
Mm,
it, but if you shout, then they'll run away. It's
mm.
infuriating.
No,
It
they are
is really
misogynist.
not a good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% proven.
And I mean, where I used to work, there was a girl who was tall. She was about 6 foot, and not a small unit. And so, I mean, substantially bigger than me. And she would regularly be sort of harassed by monkeys, and they'd leave me alone. Yeah, so they're deeply misogynist, and yeah, I mean that's something they need to work on. I think it's the
I think
21st
so too.
century now, into the third decade, and I think it's just unacceptable.
Yeah, we don't like it. It's infuriating.
No, we
I want to
don't
be
like
able to chase my own monkeys and not having to go and ask for help.
it. Not have to call like a damsel in distress.
Only for monkeys. Who knew?
Yeah. Yes, quite. All right, let's have our last clip. Also, monkeys. Oh dear, that's too cute. Now, the inevitable debate here is: are these twins? No, they are not.
There we go. Great timing. Great answer.
That's too cute. I do feel that little woodland kingfisher there. I do feel that the harshness with which these monkeys treat the equipment there to feed them is not altogether kind or nice.
It
Um,
definitely does seem harsh.
it's they tend to turn those teeth or nipples into pieces of stringy biltong, and I mean, I suppose I, I suppose the monkey mothers get used to it. Oh, there are lots of little babies in this troop. One of them tried to poke the eye. That's great.
The patience to be a monkey parent, eh?
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. It really is too gorgeous.
Yes.
I think we should watch that play scene once more, if you don't mind, just because it's really heartwarming. Let's just go to the end of that little clip again and watch them have a play, if it's possible. Is it possible? I hope it's possible. There we are. That's fine. We can watch from here. There was something quite important I wanted to say here about the. Oh, what is interesting is that if play gets a bit rough, these monkeys obviously, I mean, maybe it's not obvious, but they obviously are able to discern the sounds made by their own offspring. And they will absolutely get the hell in with the mother of the baby that's hurt their baby. And I think that's really interesting because their understanding of relationships is possibly much more sophisticated than you might expect. Bluebird, you say, are the vervets as hierarchically prone as baboons? I love it when you said tournament species, by the way. Yeah, they are. They're also tournament species. I think that there's probably my understanding with the vervets, and Ali, maybe you can correct me here, is that there's probably much more likely to be a very dominant male in a troop, and whereas in the baboon troop definitely have a big dominant one, but you'll have a couple of layers beneath him, and I suspect the gap between those layers for the vervets is probably slightly higher, but they fight like the baboons do, not quite as vociferously and possibly not quite as frequently. So yes, they are a tournament species, but they're not. I don't think they're as violently so as the baboons. Maybe they are. I don't think so, though. I
Yeah,
think that the dominant is
I also
probably
find
that
them
much.
less violent.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I don't recall ever witnessing a vervet monkey fight of the level that the baboon fight that we
Yeah.
saw at the beginning of the show. But I have seen those baboon fights like that more often than not. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
at least smaller creatures, less drama. Could it be that?
Maybe. I think there's definitely an element of that, but I also definitely think that there is a more dominant male who keeps
Hmm,
keeps order, who doesn't tolerate too much
all of that
monkeying
nonsense.
around.
Not sure. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I thought it was also like with the vervets, a group of them or a couple of them, but maybe
Hmm.
new studies have
Yeah.
proven that there are new theories.
Yes.
I
I'm
must.
frankly, I'm spitballing here. I need to go and reread my vervet monkey behavior, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that monkeys are my favorites. I know it is Monkey Day, but I find them too much like humans, all the primates. So I don't think I
Yeah.
can relate to any of them. Gorillas being an exception, and they're the only ones of the primates that I have seen, and I've been in total, complete awe of them. But baboons and monkeys, not so much.
No. I mean, you can't deny, though, to watch baboons on a safari, a troop out in the open, is incredibly entertaining. They're never
Yeah.
not doing something amazing. They're never not being ridiculous. I mean, I saw a clip the other day. I mean, it was pornographic but very funny. There was a young baboon, a mother baboon, feeding her youngster, and another female came up and patted her on the shoulder. It looked all quite sweet, and then the second female turned around and was sort of looking around, and in a second, a young male had come, jumped up on her heels, and was powering away. And it was just, they are so amusingly unaware of how amusing they are. And so I enjoy watching
They
them
just
all the
are.
time. Yeah,
I don't
yes,
know. I had to
yeah.
deal with both monkeys and baboons when I used to work in the rehabilitation center, and to me, it was just the smell of them that
Okay.
got me. And they would just cling onto your hair and not let go for the life of them. I mean, if you had to like rip off half your head to try and get rid of them. So
Yeah.
I think maybe that's where I'm coming from. I don't particularly love them.
I suspect that's
Maybe because
exactly
of
where
that.
you're coming from. Yeah. Also,
I'm
they
sorry.
wouldn't be able to grab onto my hair, would they?
You know,
No.
you're lucky. Don't worry, they'll grab onto your ears. They find
Yes.
ways.
Suki V, you say if a mother dies, will another mother take on a baby? My understanding is yes, they would. They would take on another one. Yeah, especially if it was a relative. So if it was a niece or nephew or something, another mother would take them on. I'm not sure if they'd take them on as readily as an elephant would, but they'd definitely take them on more readily than a hyena would, my understanding. That's a good question. Yeah. All right, everyone. That is the end of the Wild Moments show, powered by explore.org for this day. Thursday, the 15th of December, 2022. We will see you when we see you, I suppose. Thank you, Ali, all the way from Venezuela. What time is it in Venezuela?
It is 10:30 in the morning.
10:30 in the morning. Okay, so you are, wow, 6 hours behind us.
Yep.
Good.
I got the whole day ahead of me.
We're in the future, you're in the past. Don't live in the past, Ellie. You must live in the present. Okay, everybody. See you next time. Bye.